A man once confessed to killing more than 300 people across 3 different countries. He served 14 years. Then he walked out the front door of a prison, and nobody has confirmed seeing him since. His name almost never comes up next to killers who committed a fraction of what he admitted to, and that gap between how infamous he should be and how forgotten he actually is might be the most disturbing part of this entire case. This is the story of Pedro Lopez, known in South America as the Monster of the Andes, how investigators got him to confess using nothing but patience, why the legal system let him go so quickly, and what happened after he vanished into thin air. Stick around, because the ending of this case is not an arrest. It is a disappearance that has never been solved. The case began on March 9, 1980, when a mother in an Ecuadorian marketplace saw a man attempting to drag her 12-year-old daughter away. She raised the alarm, a crowd caught him, and police took him into custody. On the surface, it looked like a single attempted abduction. Nobody in that room yet understood they had just stopped a man responsible for one of the largest killing sprees in recorded history. Part of what let Lopez operate across 3 countries for so long without getting caught comes down to who he targeted and where. He moved constantly between remote villages in Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru, areas where communication between local police forces was limited and missing children from poor, indigenous communities often received little formal investigation at the time. A killer moving across international borders, targeting communities with the least investigative attention, could disappear after each crime almost as easily as he had appeared. That single arrest raised an immediate question for investigators. Was this an isolated incident, or did this man have a history that matched a much larger pattern already worrying communities across the region? Investigators suspected there was more to the story, but Lopez refused to cooperate through standard questioning. So Police Captain Pastor Cordova Gudino tried something unconventional. He posed as a fellow inmate and shared a cell with Lopez for 27 straight days, slowly building a false sense of trust rather than pushing for a confession through pressure or intimidation. That patient, quiet strategy is what finally cracked the case open, but what came out of Lopez's mouth once he started talking went far beyond anything investigators were prepared for. Lopez eventually confessed to killing at least 110 girls in Ecuador, roughly 100 more in Colombia, and what he described as many more than 100 in Peru. To prove he was telling the truth rather than exaggerating for attention, he personally led investigators to the graves of 53 of his victims, locations nobody else could have possibly known. This was not a vague confession extracted under pressure. It was detailed, verifiable, and confirmed by physical evidence pulled directly from the ground. With a confession this severe and this well documented, most people would assume the legal consequences matched the scale of what he admitted to. That assumption is exactly where this case takes its most disturbing turn. Lopez pled guilty to the murders of 110 girls in Ecuador in July of 1980. Under Ecuadorian law at the time, the maximum possible sentence for even this scale of crime was just 16 years in prison. Not 16 years per victim. 16 years total, for what remains one of the highest confirmed victim counts in modern criminal history. That sentencing cap explains part of what happened next, but it does not explain how a confessed killer of this magnitude ended up walking free years even sooner than that already shockingly low number suggested. Lopez was released from Ecuador's Garcia Moreno prison in 1994, after serving just 14 years, credited for good behavior behind bars. He was not free for long in the way most people would expect, though. An outstanding warrant sent him straight to Colombia, where authorities placed him in a psychiatric facility for evaluation rather than a standard prison. He remained there for 4 years while doctors assessed his mental state. That psychiatric hold sounds like it might have kept him contained indefinitely, but the actual outcome of that evaluation is the detail that turns this case from disturbing into almost unbelievable. In 1998, doctors declared Lopez sane, and he was released after paying a bond of less than $100. A man who had confessed to murdering more people than almost any other documented killer in history walked out of custody for the final time over a sum of money most people would not think twice about spending on a normal grocery trip. After his release, the trail goes cold almost immediately. His last confirmed sighting came in 1999, when he renewed a citizenship card in Colombia. Interpol issued an international arrest warrant in 2002, hoping to finally track him down properly, but that warrant was quietly deactivated in 2005 without ever leading to his capture. From that point forward, Pedro Lopez simply disappears from every official record that exists. Lopez is not even the only South American killer from this era whose scale rarely gets the recognition it should. Other confirmed and suspected killers from the region during similar decades also amassed victim counts far higher than most infamous names taught in true crime documentaries elsewhere in the world, largely for the same reason: weak cross-border coordination and under-resourced investigations into disappearances from poor and rural communities. Lopez's case simply happens to be one of the better documented examples of a much larger, uncomfortable pattern. Decades later, his current whereabouts remain completely unknown. He may be alive somewhere today, an elderly man living under an assumed identity, or he may have died anonymously years ago without anyone connecting his death to the name that once terrified entire regions of South America. Nobody knows, and unlike almost every other serial killer of his scale, there was never a dramatic final capture, trial, or execution to close the story properly. That absence of a proper ending is exactly what makes this case so unsettling compared to more famous killers whose stories at least reached some kind of conclusion. Pedro Lopez confessed to more murders than most people can even comprehend, proved it with physical evidence investigators could not dispute, and still walked away from consequences that should have made this one of the most recognized names in criminal history. Instead, his name faded, his location became a mystery, and one of the deadliest confirmed killers in modern history simply became a man nobody can find. If uncovering the cases that history quietly buried is worth watching more of, subscribing keeps every future deep dive from slipping past unnoticed. Drop a comment on which overlooked case deserves this same treatment next, and share this with someone who has never heard this name before, because a case this severe should not be this unknown.